Safety 365.
Welcome back to Safety 365, where our goal is to help you navigate more safely through your daily activities and understand the importance of taking proactive measures to safeguard yourself. I'm Bill Barna. I'm your host, retired 33-year police officer, police academy instructor, substitute teacher, professional security consultant, here to talk about daily matters. Today's show sponsors are Bolo Stick, LLC, the door barricade device, and Blues Biscuits, the healthy alternative for your pet. Today we'll be addressing the topic of pet safety. We love our furry little friends, our cats and dogs, and whatever other animals you may have, and we want to keep them safe. A survey conducted by the American Pet Products Association found that 70% of households own a pet. 70%. That's huge. When you figure there's 150 million households throughout the United States, 69 million of them own dogs. Man's best friend indeed, and I am a dog lover myself. 45.3 million households own a cat. I like cats. I don't want them in my house. I'm allergic to them, but that's okay. Suffice it to say, we love our animals, and they return unconditional love right back to us with a loyalty that's unmatched anywhere. Though they're only with us for a part of our lifetime, we are their entire lifetime, and I think we owe it to them to keep them healthy and keep them happy. So let's keep them healthy, happy, and safe. The best way I know how to do that is to bring in experts like our guest today, Amy Wildman from Blues Biscuits. Amy, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Amy spent nearly a decade as a vet tech, a vet assistant, and is soon to be a licensed dog groomer in addition to the owner of Blues Biscuits. Amy, tell us a little bit about you.
So, I've always had a big passion and love for animals. I was in the restaurant and managerial business for about 10 years, and I was really tired of doing and working those hours and not
Because
pleased.
you like pets
Yeah,
more
so
than you like people.
I do. and so I decided to follow my passion, and I enrolled in college to go back to be a veterinarian technician. And
How long did that take?
It's a 2-year program.
Okay.
So I'm associates with that. And
I can remember you working and talking about having to study and take tests and stuff. You were burning the candle at both ends, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I love it. And I love the fact of having the knowledge to be able to take care of the pets in a healthy fashion and also saving them, working with them. I've worked in a lot of emergency facilities.
It's got to break your heart, though.
It does.
I mean...
It weighs on you. You do take a lot
I
home,
know.
but to know that you're helping a situation because there's always going to be an animal or a pet out there to help.
Yeah,
so
I
to
mean,
know
I
that
know
you've saved.
my wife and I, we always rescue dogs. That's all we have ever gotten was rescue dogs. And, they live a short life compared to us.
And they give us the best of it, though, in that short term.
Yeah, but, we have to take them down to the vet at the end of the day. And,
Yeah.
you know when that time comes. And it's sad. What is unique, though, is the people that are there working feel your pain just as much as you do.
Oh, absolutely.
So I can just see you're probably a mess. You're probably a watery-eyed mess at the end of the day when that happens.
One veterinarian that I worked with tell me that when you lose that compassion, or it's no longer, you're not feeling it anymore, that it's time for you to reconsider your job
Amy,
or
it's
seek
funny.
some type of
It's
counseling.
funny that you said that because I've said that for 30 years when I was in police work. I said, this job is all about kindness and compassion and doing for others. When you lose that compassion, it is time to get out of the job.
Yes.
And I found myself towards the end not being the open, kind-hearted person that I should have been in as much as I was earlier. And it's right. I think you go through phases. So, but that is so funny that you said that. But you're right. I know you have a lot of compassion for animals.
Yes.
And it shows. I know we talk and we buy your products as well, and our dogs love them. They trust me. There's no time left when you hand it to them to the time it's gone. So before we get too in depth on this, let's get started with our safety question of the day.
All right.
What state has the highest pet ownership?
I'd probably say California.
I knew you were going to say that, but no, that's not right. According to Statista.com, Wyoming
Really?
had the highest pet ownership rate in the United States, with 72% of households owning a pet in
That's
2022. What's the number 2 state?
Florida?
Amy.
I know, I'm not doing so well with that.
I would think the same, too, because the populations
And
are so dense. But West Virginia came in second with a 71% ownership rate.
So maybe a little bit being like in the mountain areas or the areas where there's not a lot of
You find
friendship,
companionship
you're
where
more-
you can find
Yeah.
it. The least pet ownership was in Rhode Island. Wow.
That's interesting facts that I wasn't aware of.
Small state. Well, I am a cornucopia of useless knowledge. Much trivia will spout from me. It never amounts to anything, but it is what it is. So, anyways, that's our little safety question of the day. I bet you people in Ohio a lot of people here own dogs.
Yes.
We are the most depressing state in the United States because we have the most cloud cover and the most gray sky out of any other state. That is true.
That part is
Do you know
true.
why?
Because of where we're located?
Where we're
Originally,
located in the
really?
Gulf Stream and everything. Yeah. Do you know that's why the Ravenna Arsenal was built
yes,
there?
because of the cloud coverage.
So it couldn't get bombed, right?
Yeah.
They would store ammunition there.
Yes.
See? Trivia. I
More
just
fun
keep
facts.
on going. Well, Amy, this brings us into the next segment I like to call You Don't Know What You Don't Know.
All right. See what I know.
So, as a pet owner of many, many, many years and many, many, many dogs, there are obvious things that we do to keep our best friends safe. Number one, obviously, vet checks. We take them to the vet for their checkups. We always make sure they have fresh, clean water to drink. That's huge. The flea, tick, heartworm medications, take them for their walks, keeping them fenced in or restrained, when they're outside. That's huge. I
Yes.
mean, you don't want to see a pet jet out into the street and get hit by a car or take off and be one of these many strays that are in the world.
Even walking, with that note, retractable leashes.
I'm not a big fan
I'm not
of
a
those.
fan of them at all, and a lot of people love them, and that's one of the bigger safety issues for many reasons. They're at the end of a leash, so they could break it or snap it.
Yeah. Well,
Other
just the
dogs can
whiplash
come
effect.
running.
Yeah.
Yes, you do not have that security and to have them that close to you, where you're able to help a problem quicker than them being 5 feet or 7 feet ahead of you.
Right.
But a lot of accidents do come from those, or even walking in a car whips out of a driveway, not looking. They see you, but they don't see 7 feet behind them. I mean, very bad things can happen, and they happen often with them, and they're not spoken about as much, but they're really not the best. I'm
That's
not
funny.
a big fan with the
you're
retractable
right, though.
leashes.
You're right. I did have one. When I first got our one dog, and I would take him out in the yard just to let him explore a little further. Again, our yard is encapsulated with woods, so he's not running after anything. There's no threat to him. But I did notice that, if he would run excited and get to the end of it, then there's that little whiplash effect. So that I could see danger happening, just hurting their necks and stuff.
Oh yeah, there's lots that could come in with those retractable leashes. It
I
could
like
be a
the
bad
harnesses.
accident.
We have the harnesses that they wear their little vest, and it
Yeah.
pulls on their chest, not so much their neck.
Their neck, yeah.
And
I
with
like
a little pit bull mix, trust me, you'd be surprised how strong he
Oh,
is.
their strength is they're
It's
pretty
unbelievable. Yeah. So take that, Eli. That's my dog.
Eli.
Eli and Ellie. She's a whippet and lab mix. But one of the things I learned is in kind of doing a little research to talk to you, being the expert. Pets suffocate. Pet suffocation is like a growing trend. We as Americans like to leave our garbage alone. Hey, I'm not above pulling out a bag of Doritos and eating half a bag at a sitting and then sitting it on the end table.
And
Then our dogs,
like free
you know what?
game.
It's free food, and what's been happening is they're sticking their little heads in there to get food,
and suffocating.
and as they inhale and exhale, that bag becomes tighter on their neck and on their face, and they're unable to get it off, and then they go into a panic, and they suffocate. Now that's something I would never even have thought of had I not done a little research for this show. But it's a very real problem.
Yes.
I could not imagine being responsible for my pet's death. That would kill me.
Absolutely.
What? Have you seen any of this stuff? I mean,
I have not personally in the clinics, but I have heard of instances from the emergency clinics where they've had issues like that. One I know where they were able to save, but there was brain damage after for not having enough oxygen in a
just like an adult,
ample
just
amount
like a
of
human.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, our anatomies are very similar too. I mean, we're made up of the same systems. Some functions function a little bit differently, but as far as having the same operating systems in our anatomy, we do have all the same systems.
It
So.
pretty much works the same way.
Yeah.
You need oxygen if you're going to live.
Yes.
I mean, from the smallest microbe to the biggest person, I guess. Wow, that's it was a less obvious threat than I thought when I was talking. Well, we'll talk about pet safety. Nice, lighthearted. We'll talk about how Fluffy runs through the yard. But when you think about the revenue just in the snack food industry, it's like $43.9 billion in the United States.
It's huge.
Think of the packaging that goes into that. Most of it's plastic or Mylar, and that's a lot of Doritos, Fritos, and potato chips that's passing around.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we as Americans love our junk food. I do. I'm not going to lie. That's out of all snacks. I don't really care for sweets, but I like salt.
Salty, yeah.
Go to chips.
Me too.
So what happens to all those empty, semi-empty chip bags when we've had our fill? They're laying around.
Laying around, or trash not properly disposed of.
Thrown
or
out the window, and these even stray dogs, or your dog that gets off the leash and finds it, sticks its head in
Cats
there.
too, because they like the bags. Even if
Cats.
they're not going in for food, cats are
Yes.
very attracted to bags. Even just
Yes.
grocery store bags. If you had one left around, or
That's my mom's thing. Yeah, she unpacks her
Oh,
grocery
best
and the
toys.
cat's all over it.
yeah, cats don't even like cat toys. Cats like
It's like the
the
kid
odd
playing in the box at Christmas time instead of the gift that came in it, right? Yeah.
boxes, but the
Yeah.
bags are not safe.
Right. No, that's absolutely right. Yeah. I don't know what the fascination is there. But when you figure out that the average American puts out like 4.4 pounds of garbage a day, 4.4 pounds of garbage, the average American daily, that's a lot of wrappers. That's a lot of bags. That's a lot of death traps.
Absolutely.
Let's call it what it is. It's a death trap. And you think about dogs, they're naturally hungry. Like my dogs, I could have just fed them a T-bone steak, their dog food, and whatever else. And if I pulled a piece of cheese out of the refrigerator, they were right there at my feet.
Right.
They're naturally hungry. Why is that? Why are they so?
Some are just food driven. And I believe a lot of dogs, like, it depends on their case too. So you had one that you've adopted and you do not know what their history is. Maybe they starved for a great portion of their life. Maybe
Well, that's like
they-
my Eli. He's a little pit bull. He was out of Texas, and he was a street dog.
So they
He's
always
much
want
more
hunger.
about food. Yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on kind of like how they were raised too, like if they are an adopted dog or a fostered dog, and then I think it's just within them because a lot of dogs do have that natural hunger
Well, they're
drive.
they're from wolves. They've evolved from wolves, and wolves never knew when their next meal was going to come, so they would gorge themselves, right?
Yes.
And that's instinctual in our dogs.
Yes.
So they say, I've had some labs that I could leave a full bowl of food out there for a week, and it would still be there at the end of the week. But if I put a full bowl of food in front of the two dogs I have now, they'd eat
It
to the
won't
last
last.
bit. Yeah, I mean, it'd be gone. So we give them a cup, 3/4 of a cup twice a day, and that's how they get fed.
And I believe that's a healthier way. Some people do not agree with 1 or 2 times feeding a day, but when you do have a dog that gorges, that's not healthy
Oh.
either. So at least you're regulating how much you're eating, and you're not you're kind of nipping in the butt having an obese dog, which is a huge problem. A lot of people, I don't know why, think that more weight is better than less weight. And there is a line. We actually do it on a scale where we do it on a 1 to 5, and it shows like how we grade. When you bring your dog into the vet and we're doing a physical exam, we'll do a grade of a 1 to 5 of the body condition score of that dog.
I didn't
3's
know that.
right
Now
in the middle.
I've got to start looking into files.
And you can actually pull up a chart on it. It just shows you like where the ribs are, like if you're standing on top of them from a bird's eye view, where their ribs are, where the hourglass shape is, what's thin, what's where you should be, what's targeted weight, and then what's getting to be a problem and going to lead into obesity if you do not solve it. And it's kind of hard to put a dog on a diet or to exercise them after, especially if they already have some type of activity. And it takes a dedication, so it's harder to get the weight off of them when you already have it on
Right.
them.
Now, I will know that I am similar to my dogs. We all tend to put on some weight in the winter months because we're not out there walking as much or doing
Yeah.
as much. So, yeah, I think my dogs probably put on a few pounds over the winter because they're not out playing as much. And we're
Well,
not,
with Blue, she had trouble with her spine a year ago, and we were always out. She loved that. She was easier for her to hike in the winter, and we hiked all over. I've had her from Michigan to Pennsylvania,
Less
all over
swelling and stuff,
Ohio.
right?
Yeah, with the swelling,
Cooler.
so she can't go far now, and she has to watch like inclines and declines. So
is it, you said spine or is it hips? Or?
she had a little bit of trouble with her spine, her lower lumbar vertebrae. And we think that from the x-rays that it was probably something from birth. Maybe whoever had her first, she had an injury that I was unaware of because how deep it is with her spine, that it was nothing that happened like in that year that I took her in.
Gotcha.
So we were on a very long hike, and she made a jump. She loved to jump, but she came down, and she's never really fully recovered. So we can't walk like we used to. And this was a dog that did a couple miles 3 to 4 times a week, and we went off road. We didn't just go in the blocks. I would
Yeah.
take her to very nice places to hike, and she was very athletic, and she did gain weight. But now I'm starting to go through the other problems with her.
Well,
To try to
as-
keep her healthy, and
as
it's a
humans-
domino effect. Yeah.
Even as humans, as we age, more and more things start coming to
Come-
light. You're a young lady.
Slowing down.
You're a young lady, and from the other side of the hourglass here, where I'm at, trust me, every day is a new adventure with something hurts.
Oh yeah.
It's just ridiculous. But you know what? So I think we can conclude that these dogs are seeking out these chip bags or snack bags because it's instinctual and it's a survival thing. They gorge when they can gorge because they don't know when the next meal's coming.
Yes.
So again, we're creating death traps for them. I've seen where as many as 1,000 dogs a year are dying through the suffocation, and it's something so easily remedied by us. I mean,
Just to pick up after herself
pick
or
up after
dispose
ourselves.
properly.
Yeah. I mean, put it in a bowl if you're going to
Yeah.
eat. So you don't.
And
that's
keep your
just-
trash cans covered properly too, because they can tear apart a bag
Oh.
easily. To have the proper container or storage or lid,
Yes.
or so it's not
Yes.
it's not pried open easily.
So these pets are suffocating when they pull a bag off a table or out of a trash, put their heads inside to lick up the crumbs. They can get their heads back. They can't get their heads back out of the snack or chip bags. When they start inhaling, the bag is tightening. Let's just rephrase this, and it's getting caught on their neck, and then they start to panic like a human would, and they start running around. They're breathing harder and not getting any oxygen. And 3 to 5 minutes, your pet's no longer with you.
Yes.
So that was one of the things, I know horrible as it is to even think about, but it's not your non-traditional pet safety thought that I wanted to get out in people's minds.
But something to definitely be aware of
Yeah.
and more
yeah,
cautious of around the house. And
Yeah, let's just now we'll put a mental note. All right, we got chip bags. We're going to make sure they're locked up. We'll put them away, or we're going to put them in a counter or a cabinet, pantry, whatever. But it's something so simple to prevent. I just hope our viewers kind of take this to heart. Why do you think there are so many animals left out there on their own? I mean, strays.
breeding is out of control. And people, a lot of people do not want to spay and neuter. Some feel that it's unethical and it's not humane. Some people just may not do it for financial reasons, and then some people want to be breeders, and I consider it a backyard breeder.
Yeah.
And do not take care of the two that they are breeding. Let
They're
alone
breeding
their
for money.
litters. They're breeding for money. And then if they're not getting sold on time because you've bought this dog that you think will sell for $1,000 or $2,000 or $1,500 and you can't get them sold, now you have this big mastiff or this other breed of a dog and you're just turning them loose because you can't feed them and your other 3 dogs.
So you let somebody else worry about it.
Yeah,
And that's
and
why our shelters are so overpopulated.
Well, since COVID hit, it's just, and everything's gone up. It's been huge. It's actually sad. It's sickening. It's every day. And you don't even have to be in the rescue field to see these dogs. They're coming into the vets. People will come in with, especially the vet that I work for. She's an older vet, and she's been around forever, and she has a great heart. Even though we have a schedule every day, people still come in with hurt animals that they've seen, and we're not even an emergency clinic. And, you'll tend to them. You will.
We've
but,
got an oath. You've got a kind of oath,
Yeah.
a self-oath that you're going to take care of these creatures.
But they're leaving them everywhere. They're leaving them out, taking out the country roads and dropping off. I mean, there was just in Warren a house where 2 were left to starve.
I saw those.
It was awful.
They were emaciated.
It's terrible, and it's all the time. Cats especially, and it's like if you're going to have them, there are some clinics out there that will help you financially. Just spay or neuter them. It's not wrong. It's not wrong for that because now you're creating a bigger problem.
Right. Well, like Bob Barker said, help control the pet population. Have your pet spay or neutered. Right.
Absolutely.
That's it. He was right. He was right though. But I mean, abandoned animal stats reports that the number of U.S. stray animals reaches like 70 million. 70 million stray animals out there. According to Humane Society, 6 to 8 million cats and dogs go into shelters each year. Okay. 5,500 stray dogs are put to rest each day. Ugh, breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Only 2% of the cats and 17% of dogs in shelters return to their parents. That's heartbreaking.
It's sad. Very sad.
That's of the massive population in shelters, just 3 to 4 million stray animals get adopted.
Another thing to add to that, recently what I've seen is that a lot of different breeds are eye-catchy for one reason or the other. They like the pattern of them or the look of their face or their ears. So people are buying these dogs and having no idea what this breed represents. Something as long as like a Mastiff where they want it for their looks and protection, or something as a Blue Heeler that has great markings. But you have these dogs that were bred for certain reasons and they have different temperaments. And so now you have this
absolutely.
dog, and say for a Blue Heeler, for instance, you just think that going out in the backyard for a couple hours and one walk around the block's enough. But then at a year old or a year and a half,
He's just got too
this
much
dog's
energy.
going crazy.
Yeah.
They were bred to herd. They need
Yeah.
something. Their minds were bred
They have
for
to be
that.
stimulated.
They have to be stimulated properly, and then they start to kind of go crazy, in other words, and it only gets worse.
People don't do. I agree with what you're saying. People don't do their homework
Yeah, on
to
the
find out
breed.
what is this dog going to do. Because I can tell you firsthand, I think a Dalmatian is like one of the top 3 to bite.
But yeah,
Yeah, you know why I know that? Because I got bit by one on duty, and I did some research on it. I'm like, holy cow!
you think they're a beautiful dog, would be great
That's
around
why
the
they ran in
family.
front of the fire trucks
Yeah,
to get people out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they were there for. Okay, again, useless trivia. I'm going to spout it out
But
there
it's
for you.
helpful.
If you're looking at a Dalmatian, 3rd most likely to bite. But beautiful dogs, nevertheless, I don't hate them. I just know that.
Experienced handlers should have them, or you should know, like, if you have a house full of 3 little children, or you plan to have kids. That's another one. You plan to have kids,
don't
and
get
you get
that
a
one.
dog,
Yeah.
and then the baby comes, and you're like, oh well, we can't have this baby around the dogs. I think people do poor planning too.
Yeah.
A lot of people will get them for Christmas or for presents, and they're so cute now, but nobody wants to potty train. Nobody wants to house break. A lot of people have expectations on dogs, like they're just. I tell them once, and they should just know. They're going to know
your
to not
kids
go in
don't
a
do
bath.
that.
Yeah, I say that to so many people. I've upset some people with that, but it's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to put in work.
They are labor intensive, but it's only for a short term, and then
Oh,
you've got
yeah.
a friend for life.
Absolutely.
Like I say one word, I say crate to my dogs. Leave whatever room they're in, and they go into it. When I say crate, they have a 16 by 20 Florida room with 3 double sliding glass doors that they look outside. I mean, they've got it made.
And it's like their room. That actually, some people are against the crates, but crate training properly is huge, and I feel every dog should have that.
Yeah.
For one, it gives them stability in their house. It's kind of like their little room
I can
where
get
they
away
can just
from
go,
you.
yeah, like, hey,
It's
I'm
like
done
my
listening
man
to you,
cave,
human.
right?
Yeah.
If my wife's
absolutely.
yelling at me, I can get away and go to
Go
my little
sit in
man
my
cave.
cave.
Right.
And then also, if anything were to happen to you, or you want to go on vacation, to let them know that it's okay to be crated properly.
Yeah.
And people use it as trying to teach them a lesson or an obedience part of training, and it shouldn't be utilized like that at all. It should be
That's
their
your
little
safe
room,
space.
their safe haven. Yeah.
Yep. And that's what we use ours for. We tell them crates, and they go in there,
And they love it.
yeah, they're used to it.
They're like, you're not coming in here with me.
So you're absolutely right, though. But we shift to a little lighter side of keeping our pets safe. Give them treats. I'm guilty. I mean,
Oh, I'm horrible.
they go outside and they do their business and come right back in without me having to yell for them. They get a treat. Now I don't give them a whole biscuit. I break it into 4 pieces, and they get a little nibble. But to them, that's just reward.
And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people will go with the whole treat, and that's where you get trouble. And I'm like, I have a 130-pound dog, and even my
Oh,
biscuits
yeah.
that I break, I'll break up or I'll give her pieces, because it's exactly what you said. They're not knowing if they've got a fourth of it or a half. It's a treat. It tastes good. It hit their palate. They're excited.
Right. Their
They did a good
endorphins
job.
were charged. They were good. Yeah.
They're like, this is awesome. Just a taste. And I think some people go overboard. Blue does get a lot of treats, but they are in smaller increments, and I do break them
Yeah.
up. But she is rewarded too, and she's a good dog. She does.
Well, that's like we even have one of those Furbos,
Yeah.
so I can watch my dogs when I'm not there.
And they
It's like a
the
Ring
treat.
doorbell for those of you not in the pet world. And when I see that, I can check in on them, and I can also press a button, and it'll dispense a little treat. Now, it's only like 7 little pea-sized things, but they hear the tone, and they go over to it, and they get a little treat. So,
They're excited.
again, it's not quantity. It's just the fact that they get a little
A
piece of
treat.
something. It's reward. It's reward-based.
Mm-hmm.
I worry sometimes I might be over-treating them, but I love my dogs. I don't know. I'm chubby. My wife loves me. And they're a little chubby. I love them too. So, but they say pets shouldn't get more than 10% of their daily calories from treats.
Treats.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So my dog, do the math on that. According to a study by the Association for Pet Obesity Prevention, 53.9% of dogs in the U.S. are overweight.
Yes.
I don't know what the percentage of humans are, but I'm sure it's probably equally.
We've said
Or
that
probably
before.
70%,
Yeah, I would assume in
for
America.
people. I mean, I know if I go on the chart, I'm sure I'm way overweight, but hey, I'll figure it out. Yeah. Okay. I'm not young anymore. My metabolism's changed. They also found that there was a study that found obesity could actually potentially be linked to a few different cancers in dogs. That was from dogcancerblog.com. That's interesting because I know that the rate of cancer in dogs is coming up.
It's increased significantly in the past 20 years.
Now, I don't know that's all because I feed them too much and they get fat and they're getting cancer. I think a lot of my personal belief is, we use a lot of pesticides. We fertilize our yards. We put insecticides out there to keep the grubs down, to keep this down, to keep that down. And they're out there, and these dogs live through their noses.
Yeah.
So their noses are to the ground sniffing everything, and I think that has a huge thing to do with it.
I agree with that. In the house, one thing in the house, when people use like the Glade plugins and things, those are very, very sensitive to dogs. Like our whole house smells good when we walk in, but imagine with their nose and how much they
how
smell.
potent that must be.
Yeah, those are very, very, very strong for dogs.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. My wife likes these little candle melts or whatever. They do smell great, but I never thought about that for the dog. Now you've got me thinking. See,
yeah,
this show
and there's
is
different
serving.
candles that some have the soy, and I think some have different. Maybe they've used an oil and not as much fragrance. I do use the candles in my house, but I did get away from all the Glade plugins.
Gotcha.
And things like that.
Gotcha. Recently, I discovered that some of these dog treats are processed using some chemicals that I wouldn't want to be consuming. One of them, believe it or not, we've all fed our dogs milk bones.
Yes.
Right? Milk bones. If you think about a treat, you think milk bones. You know they're manufactured with embalming fluid?
Yes. And why, though?
This is what we're putting into corpses, right?
So why would you put it into a biscuit?
I'm not sure of that. I don't know if it stabilizes the fat content or something. But, okay, so your milk bones, this is just something I pulled off the internet, and research it yourselves. But think twice before you give your dog some treats. Milk bones, they utilize embalming fluid. Bacon strips from Purina use jet fuels. Pepperoni from Del Monte uses rubber products. Busy Bones from Purina has pesticides in it. Moistened media from Purina. Electrical transformer oil.
It's outrageous.
I just don't get it. I mean, I know, I'm sure food that we eat, there's probably stuff in there that they use to, manufacture it that we probably wouldn't be happy with. But man, man's best friend. I don't want to be giving him embalming fluid.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Well, that's where a lot of people will say, well, over years or 20, 30 years ago, I gave my dog table scraps and they were fine. Why are all these cancers coming about? And I believe that's a greater portion. The way these products are being made, the way they're being manufactured.
Same with humans.
Absolutely.
All the preservatives and stuff we're putting into foods, we're not eating wholesome foods. So maybe that is it.
Yeah, I think it's a huge portion.
But I see there's a lot more of these commercials on now it's all natural, all healthy, all homemade, and but it's like soft food.
And there's such a big argument right now in the vet world from consumers and the veterinarians themselves as to which foods are the best and which foods are not. And there's so many that are coming out. Grain-free is a huge topic. And also all these all-natural and some of the designer brands as they label them.
Is my dog going to be asking for a soy latte soon or what? I mean, we're pampering the heck out of them.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just crazy how far we've come.
Yeah.
You go down and buy a bag of Alpo or whatever. That used to be what you did back in the day. And now
there's so many different foods.
They've got
and there's
designer
so many arguments.
Foods. I'm not a big fan of soft foods for dogs or cats. I think it doesn't let their teeth stay clean and functioning the right way.
For cats, it's good for them to have it because they normally do not take in as much water. So they get a little bit of a water content from the soft food. So that does help. Dogs,
But doesn't it make their gums weaker? I mean, if they're eating that exclusively.
It could probably cause a little bit of damage if that's all they're eating. I believe in a mix for both of them. But Blue, actually, I believe in the hard food. Blue does get her kibble, but I give her a little bit of soft food on top. But I give it to her because she's kind of spoiled and she likes to have a topper. It's
this
not
is why
because
our dogs
of
are chubby.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I think as many as 1 in 4 dogs is diagnosed with a cancer, and is leading cause of death in pets beyond middle age. So just kind of keep that in mind. And I will put this out there: you don't know what you don't know. Stop giving your dogs raw hides.
Awful.
Do not give them raw hides.
Ever. Don't even buy them.
It is the worst thing you could possibly do. They chew them up. I mean, they're made with formaldehyde, and they chew these things up, and they don't digest them.
Not at all.
And many dogs, I'm sure, have probably had to have surgeries just to have
Oh,
it
yeah.
removed.
I've seen many removed. They just body will not break them down.
It's,
And
I
then
mean,
there will be like a form obstruction of some sort.
yeah, if you want to test it on yourself, chew your leather belt and let me know how you feel. All right.
Really.
All right, I can be an idiot. All right, let's bring us to our next segment we like to call reaction time. All right, Amy, this is a little bit more lighthearted portion of our episode. While I may have brought up some disturbing images previously, thinking about dogs suffocating in chip bags and such, let's talk about ways to keep our pets safe. So, in preventing pet suffocation, one of the things I think if we can do, serve out of bowls, put a serving size in a bowl instead of having a whole bag at hand, putting food in like a Rubbermaid container,
Yes.
a lot better idea.
And it's nice airtight.
Yeah, it keeps
Keeps it
your chips
safe,
fresh,
yeah.
right? And maybe when you're done with the bags, we all like to recycle. We'll cut the bags twice, cut them lengthwise and widthwise, and now they're not a problem.
Yes. That's a great idea.
Just me. You always said keep the trash cans lids tightly fastened for sure. Check the house before you're leaving, and even checking your vehicles. We're slobs. If you, I've trust me, I've inventoried a lot of cars in 30 years, and people are slobs. I eat the bag and I throw it on the passenger side, or it's in the back, or if you have kids, remember your pet's going to jump in there too. That's the worst possible outcome you could have.
Oh, yeah.
So do some of those things. I don't know. Something else on pet suffocation? What do you think?
The suffocation, that's the main thing, is the way we as humans handle our trash, or when it's in our possession, how you're storing it in your house, how you're disposing of it, or just if you're done and you're still watching a movie, either pause it and throw it away, or when you're done, make sure you've thrown it away. It's a lot on the owner's part.
You can't put that temptation out there. I mean, as a cop, if you'd have put a glazed donut on the counter and I had to sit there and look at it, I'm going to eat it.
You're gonna eat it.
I'm going to eat it.
As soon as you walk in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's just what I'm going to do. Or if I got a great fillet at Enzo's, you put that out there. I'm eating it. I'm going to say a little plug for my buddy Enzo over at Enzo's restaurant there. Great fillet, best in town. What about preventing lost pets? What can we do there?
Microchipping is huge, and it's not painful.
Okay.
And you can get it done at any veterinarian. You can even, I believe, Pet Supply and PetSmart now
What's
do
the cost
those.
on that?
Around $25.
$25 to microchip. You know what? And that is such a great thing because, again, I go back to my police career. How many dogs I rescued, found them as a stray or whatever. They'd have a collar and maybe a tag for their rabies shot, but no way to really identify that dog. If you went to the pound, they're like, well, yeah, we give you your license, but they can't research a number to find out who that license go to.
Yeah, it's
there's
not
a
any
data
database.
bank.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, if you microchip that dog, we take it to the vet and they wand over it. Oh, yeah, here's where it's coming back
And
to.
even now, like a lot of shelters have those wands. A lot of police stations have those wands.
Sure.
Or at least somebody within the department will have it, so where they can scan it and make it very easy for you. That's one way. And making sure if you do have those, that if you ever move, that you always keep updated on your information, your telephone information, and your
Gotcha.
house information, because that's been a problem too, where people just forget about it and their pet's lost or they move to another area and the information's not accurate.
Yeah, I would
so
say
you
I would say a nice thing on there would be a secondary contact, like your parents. If you have older parents, they're not typically going to move,
Yes.
and their phone number is going to stay the
Stay the
same.
same.
They probably have landline. So yeah, that's a great idea. The microchips.
Making sure that you do have your phone and your tags on them, and always have a picture. Because Facebook's huge now.
I love that. Yeah,
There's a
you
lot-
must have
like,
done your
have an
homework. I did
updated
that
picture.
one too. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I was going to say,
Trust
have an
me,
updated picture.
If you look at my phone, that's only pictures you're going to see are my dogs.
Oh, my.
And my wife says, "I think you love the dogs more than you love us and the kids." And I'm like, that's not true. But if there's a drive-by, get in front of the dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I mean that's a great thing. And one of the things I like, boy, I'm having a heck of a time with this headset. One of the things I like is the collars now. I buy our dogs have the reflective collar
Yes.
with their names and my phone number embroidered in it. So there's no wearing off or anything. If you see my dog, you're going to know who it belongs to, and you're going to give
those
me
are
a
great.
call.
Especially if you can't get, if the dog won't let you touch them if they're a stray. Maybe if you could see that far, at least you can.
Oh, it's like an inch, an inch
Yeah.
tall.
Those
The
are
font,
nice.
they're very good. They're very good. So yeah, that's something. Your tags, restrain them. Just restrain them outside.
Restrain 'em. And if you have a dog, like I know some people are like, well, you have a fenced in yard, why can't we keep him in there? Some are excellent escape artists. Some can
Oh.
jump. I've seen a boxer jump. I mean, it was unbelievable. Jump kennels at one of the kennels I worked for. They can jump. They can dig. So if you find that, and if your dog's gotten out once and you brought him back, just kind of really find what it is that they're able to get out with.
Yeah.
What type of escape artist are they, and just work with it. And I know people come down hard on people that do have their escape dogs, and sometimes you just don't know.
You can only do what you can do. Listen, a criminal's going to be as good as you let them be, but they're going to keep finding new ways.
Oh, and they're smart. I've watched somebody extend their fence, and the dog was actually using part of their tools shed to jump on the main shed,
Right.
to then jump over. And the only way we found that out, because we thought they were digging and couldn't find
Video
anything. Video them.
You
You
put a
video
ring-
them, you'd be surprised at what your dogs do. I know when I leave, she's laying in the same spot, and when I come home, she's laying in the same spot. But those 6 hours in between.
It's funny. So we had that Furbo, and our dogs, they both have their 3x4 beds in there. And we come home. This is when we first got them. We came home the one time, and it looked like it had snowed in there. This one bed was ripped into microscopic pieces throughout the whole place. And my wife constantly said, "That's the dog you picked. That's Eli. That's the little pit bull chewing on things. He did that." I said, I wanted to take in the red challenge flag.
Yeah.
Let's go to the film. And we did.
And it
And
wasn't.
here it was the Whippet Lab mix. She got bored and was just having a ball.
Tearing it up.
But you're right. This video can tell you a lot about what your dog's doing. So
Oh,
utilize
yeah.
it. See how your dog's getting out. Let's keep them restrained.
Absolutely.
Okay? That's awesome. That's
If you
awesome.
drive with dogs, which I do, my dog's in the car a lot. Restraining there, they make a lot of nice seatbelts that go around the leash that are helpful. I haven't had a personal experience, and I hope I never do, but I've seen quite a few, especially in the last year, people get in accidents or they're traveling out of state. They get in an accident, and this dog's just running free, and they're from
Oh, right.
7 states
right,
away.
Right.
So they, getting in contact or being on a local social media platform is very hard for them. But making sure that if you are traveling with your pet, those seatbelts work well, or maybe even a double leash of some sort. I know it's hard to protect from an accident, but making sure that they do get out. Some people will drive with
Yeah.
the crates, and I know it sounds a little bit uncomfortable, but if it saves you to keep a 7-hour distance drive and have them in a crate, then do so.
Right. Absolutely.
Whatever to make them safe in that, because I would feel awful losing my dog out of state where they just on the side of a highway and.
It's terrible. And utilize social media.
Yeah.
Because I'm on Facebook through our business and everything, and somebody will say, "Hey, this dog's running wild on Anderson Avenue." I share it
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
because
always-
you know what? Let your friends be telling their friends and their friends and then their friends. It's going to get out there, and most of the time, these dogs or somebody posts something. Hey, these dogs were found. Everything's great. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
social media
utilize
is very
that.
helpful with that.
well, let's get more into your realm. Keeping our dogs safe. We talked about giving them treats, getting them overweight. Tell me about Blues Biscuits. What makes it so different?
Well, Blues Biscuits started because my dog had tons of allergies. And I was going through lots of medical testing and
Oatmeal baths and
the oatmeal baths, and that's another argument like the food, but a lot of things weren't working. And when we first discovered that it was definitely an allergy, she was only 1. So at the time, they wanted me to just set her on a set of medications, and that's what she's going to do for the rest of her life. And I just wasn't for that. I wasn't for a 1-year-old dog being on these drugs that I know
Right.
at some point are going to have liver problems, kidney problems, and
Sure.
other problems. So I did a lot of research, and what I've come up with and still stick to this day, even though there are some allergy tests, none of them are 100%. The only way to really find out if it's a food allergy is to totally dismiss everything and go strict on a diet. And that's what we did. I cut any treats out, which was very, very hard. I cut all treats out for about 3 weeks.
poor thing.
And just to see, because you don't know where to pinpoint. And a lot of times with food allergies, usually it's a protein, typically beef or chicken. Those are the most common allergies. So that's what I did. I took her off of that, and when I noticed that right at the bat it was chicken, so I just started to
What?
Yeah,
Your
chicken.
dog
She's
was allergic to
She's
chicken.
allergic to chicken, so that's why we go.
And that's in every dog food there is.
It is just about in every treat. Even if it says lamb and brown rice, turn it over on the back. 8 out of 10, they're going to still have chicken byproduct of some sort in there.
Oh, Lord.
And so I just got really tired of reading labels. And at that point, I was through school in my nutrition portion, so I learned a lot more. And I'm like, I could do something like this. I can make her a healthier treat.
Love it.
So that's how the business kind of started. I made her a treat with she had a very upset stomach from all of the allergies and the issues, because with the allergies it attacks the gut. So you have other issues that come from the gut and other problems, secondary issues like paw pad infections, ear infections, and they'll stay continuous.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And so I hated watching her go through that, and I just did. Once I realized it was chicken, then I realized I'm in like these big pet stores and like spending 20 minutes just to find a bag of treats. So I went home and I started to play around in the kitchen. And
So are you a cook?
I do
You like to cook
at home.
anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, so this all came natural. So you had your vet training, you're a cook, and you're like, I'm going to do this for my best friend. I'm going to make her healthier.
Yeah,
Right.
That's kind of how it started.
Yeah.
And I worked with pumpkin as a base because it's very good for their gut, and it's also good. It's full of other vitamins, using pure pumpkin for them. And then a little bit of peanut butter. And then I would incorporate other things for her. And that's kind of how the treats got started, was just as her treats. And then COVID hit, and I was bored. I didn't know what to do on a Friday night off because I never have those. So I'm sitting there, and I literally had just taken the dog on the covered bridge tour. I rode with
Sure.
my dog
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the covered
yeah.
bridge tour. I didn't know what to do. I was in the house. So when we get back, it's like 7 p.m. I'm like, well, what do I do on a Friday night? I can't sit here. Oh, well, you're off work. Might as well make the dog some treats. So I did, and then after that got boring. I started packaging them. And I just put something on Facebook for fun. And I woke up to I don't know, probably a minimum 17 orders the next day.
Yeah.
Working off of one silicone mold, filling them by the dozens.
That's so. It's so. And let me tell you, Amy was the server at Enzo's where we like to go to eat. My wife and I, and she had just mentioned it because I asked her about how her vet training was going, and she mentioned that she's making these. So we started. I'm like, hey, I'm going to help out as a small business, an entrepreneur. And let's get. I said, here's $50. Give me $50 worth, whatever you're making. My dogs loved them, and we continue to buy them. What's nice, I don't know if this is just a personal service, but I get them dropped off at my door, so it's I get a free delivery. But we're going to continue to do that because I think it's best for my dog. They're healthy. Again, my dog doesn't know what they're getting; it just tastes good.
Yeah.
We break them up. We try to ration them as long as we can, but they love it. And I think what you're doing is so good. You're using your experience, life experience, your passion to keep our pets safe. I don't know. I got a soft spot for animals, and I really have a soft spot for people that take a chance to become an entrepreneur. Actually, our last episode was about entrepreneurship, so you got to make sure you see that one on the podcast. But what other? Let's say people don't know how to get a hold of Amy, or are hesitant and say, "Hey, well, I'm just going to feed my dog natural stuff now." Is there something in our homes that we eat that we can feed our dogs as a treat in lieu of milk bones?
Yeah, you could kind of make your own little treat with them as well. You can dehydration. Like if you do not have a dehydrator in your oven, you could turn down to a lower setting, and you can dehydrate some meats if you're not a fan of raw. So you could take chicken if they can eat chicken, or liver, or any meat.
What about like apples and stuff?
Those are good for them too. You just got to watch how much because of the sweetness. Anything that has a seed in, you want to watch. Grapes, absolutely not. I've made apple chips for Blue, and I've made the sweet potato chips. They were great hits.
Oh.
And I just cut them up. So my thing was to have my ingredients have least amount of ingredients possible in every recipe.
Yeah.
And no preservatives and no additives. So that's why that's what I stuck to, and that's.
So when our bananas start going bad, my wife will cut them up and then freeze them and give the dogs each a little slice of banana as a treat.
Yes.
They love them.
Oh, they love bananas.
Especially if they're frozen. They like that crunch.
Yeah.
So anything like apples, bananas, strawberries, watermelon, carrots, peas,
Watermelon's great. Green beans. Green beans was actually one of the ways I started giving her treats when I had to watch some of the protein intake.
Yeah.
So fresh green beans,
especially
she
if you
loved
freeze
them.
them.
Yes, because the cold, the crispy.
I'm just going to give you the old Bill Barna Safety 365 useless trivia. Utilize carrots as a treat because it makes cleaning up your yard so much easier. It's like having safety cones everywhere you look. Okay.
They love carrots too.
So, yeah, foods high in antioxidants help to fight against cancer. Blueberries, raspberries, green leafy vegetables. This is my research, but again, if this isn't something you want to do, check out Amy and check out Blue's Biscuits because she's got naturally made treats for your dogs. You know what? Help out a small business entrepreneur and check her out. Blue's Biscuits. This brings us to our next segment, Safety 365 Recap. Safety 365 recap. Let's just take a look real quick before we end our episode. The average American produces 4.4 pounds of garbage each day. And in that garbage are snack bags and treat bags that dogs and cats can get their heads stuck in and suffocate. And we're seeing a lot of that. 2 to 3 pets each day die from suffocation hazards that we are creating. There's an estimated 70 million strays out there. So if you're looking to get an animal, a dog or a cat, check out your shelters, because they're there and they're waiting for a good home. All they need is a little bit of love from you, and they're going to give it back 10 times. Shelters are euthanizing 2.7 million animals annually due to a lack of space. What a waste of a life. What a waste of love that can be given back to you. Obesity could be a contributing factor to cancer in dogs, so let's make sure we're feeding them healthy, like with Blue's Biscuits. I recommend them. Some major brands of commercially produced dog treats are manufactured using toxic chemicals. Let's stop using those. Let's get smarter. Let's make our dogs healthier. Naturally made dog treats can provide a tasty and healthy snack for your pets and can keep small businesses like Blue's Biscuits in operation. Lastly, much of the food that's good for you is also good for your furry friends. You start feeding them healthier, maybe you'll feed yourself healthier, and maybe you'll be a little less obese and moving around a little bit better. I don't know. But I appreciate you coming on, Amy. This is great information. We'll probably have you back here again, and when you're, like millionaire from Blue's Biscuits, she's going to be the next Purina out there, but healthier. In our next episode, we will be talking about safer communities, how to keep our neighborhoods safer, how to keep ourselves safer. Special thanks to our show sponsors, Bolo Stick LLC, the door barricade device, providing safety and security to homes, schools, churches, and business locations across 42 states and internationally in 6 countries. Visit them at www.bolostick.com. And our sponsor today, Blue's Biscuits, the healthy alternative for your pet. Visit them at bluesbiscuits.myshopify.com. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or have your business advertised as a sponsor, go to safety365.us or contact us via email, podcast@safety365.us. We'd love to have you. As always, special thanks to the Trumbull Career and Technical Center for making this podcast possible. For Safety 365, I'm Bill Barna, reminding you to be aware, be proactive, and stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you.
Yay.